What's going on YouTube? So earlier in the year, we took a look at the fully loaded Ram Limited trim level. However, today we wanted to take a look at a trim level that's a lot more affordable and happens to be the most popular trim level, the Ram 1500 Bighorn. This is a value-packed trim level with lots of features that people are looking for in a new Ram truck. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and jump right into the review. So as with pretty much any Ram truck in the entire lineup, you have a lot of customizable options, and that applies to the Bighorn as well. So with this specific example, and this is a very common way I see them, we have what is known as the Sport Appearance group. That adds, among other things, the fact that we have the body colored face. So a lot of people like this really sleek look. All of the center area here, as well as all the surrounds, are finished in the exact same silver as the rest of the body, which looks really nice. As you can see, you got the big Ram lettering up here in the front, and you got the this kind of mesh texture right there in the middle. Now as we come over here to the headlights, this is one of our indicators that this is a more affordable trim level because we do have the standard halogen headlights. However, you can option on the premium lighting group if you want to upgrade to LEDs. And then as I come down here below, you will find incandescent fog lamps as well. Next up, as we check out the wheels, this will come standard with an 18-inch alloy. However, we do have the optional 20-inch chrome alloys, which have a very similar looking design actually to the ones on the top end Limited. They're just obviously smaller and don't have the contrast accents. So we come up above here, this model does come with the optional 5.7 liter Hemi. We'll show you guys that in the test drive. And we also have the optional towing mirror. So as you can see, these are absolutely gigantic. As far as the feature set, we do have the LED turn signal indicator. You have the separated blind spot mirror, and these do manually fold out of the way.
Now the Bighorn is a really popular trim level for the Ram 1500, so you might be curious as to how you can equip this in terms of the bed and cab configurations. What we have here is the quad cab with the 6'4" bed. That is the standard configuration. You can also get the longer door crew cab version with the 5'7" bed or the 6'4" bed. So, and walking around to the side, we do have sport branding here, since we do have that sport appearance package. And then as far as the rear design, I am very pleasantly surprised. This looks pretty much like every other Ram that we've ever reviewed. It has a very classy and nice design to it. Very truckish. We have a big Ram branding right here in the center. Then if we look at our taillights, these are going to be incandescent taillights. Now, of course, if you go up the higher trim levels like the Limited trim, you will get the LED taillights, but you wouldn't really expect it to be LED, and they are not in this trim level. However, one thing I'm very pleasantly surprised to see is that since we do have that 5.7 liter Hemi, we have the dual exhaust outlets, which is something that I really like to see on trucks. And we do also have that optional trailer tow package for this particular model. Now, a big part about any truck is, of course, the bed, so let's go ahead and check that out. As you can see, we do still have a dampened tailgate, which is a nice touch to see on a trim level like this. And then as far as the bed itself, like I mentioned just a second ago, this is the 6'4" bed, so this is quite a bit longer than the other Rams that we've reviewed. As far as how they finished it, we don't really have any of the lighting that you would get on the higher end trim level, but as you can see, there's lots of space. You can also option on Ram boxes for added utility on the side. Now the Bighorn will have just a few safety systems available. So standard on every single model is going to be lane departure warning. That's not an active system, that's just the noise. And then if you go for the safety equipment group 1, that will further add forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection as well as lane keeping assist. Well guys, if you made it this far in our review, we really appreciate you, and we really hope you hit that subscribe button down below. I promise you won't regret it. Now let's go ahead and check out the Ram's interior before we take it out in a spin.
So walking up to the Bighorn Ram 1500. As you can see, we do have the brand's typical key fob. And on this specific example, we have just the keyless entry system, but we have paid $245 to get the optional remote start system. And then taking a look inside the cabin of this mainstream trim level, you'll see it is still quite nicely appointed. You have a lot of the same design elements from the top end trim levels that we sampled earlier in the year. Now when it comes to the Bighorn trim level, you are going to have a standard bench seat configuration. However, as you can see, we do have the bucket seats. They're going to be finished in a premium cloth material, and you have the choice between black, brown, or gray. As we take a look over here at the door trim, it is pretty nicely appointed. We have a leather pad for the armrest with a stitching detail. You have a cloth insert, a faux wood trim, and it is going to be soft touch along the top as well. As far as the windows, they're one touch auto up and down for the driver and the passenger. And then taking a look over here at the seat, we do have the optional 8-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support. And like I was mentioning, this is a premium cloth seat. I really like the look of this material. It really feels nice as well. A lot of stitching details on this insert in the middle here make it look a lot more premium. Now to get inside, we don't have running boards on this example, but it's still not too difficult since we have the large assist grip. And one of the reasons Bighorn is such a popular trim level is because it occupies a middle ground between really basic and really premium. You see that reflected in the materials. So across the upper dash, this is going to be finished in a hard touch plastic. However, we do have this nice looking faux wood trim and silver elements up here along the top of the console. As we move down, most of the plastics are going to be hard touch, but everything in here does fit together very nicely. It feels super solid. And as you can see, there's no panel gaps or anything like that. Now start it up, put your foot on the brake, and press the button. And right off the bat, you'll notice the gauge cluster. You do have some individual graphic changes depending on the trim level, as you could see when it was starting up. But this is mostly the same as what we've seen on other Ram products. With this Bighorn, we've got the optional 7-inch or 8-inch multi-function display right here in the middle, and you can cycle between all the same kinds of information just like you can on other trim levels. And then as we pull back to the steering wheel, we have the nice leather wrapped steering wheel with that classic Ram design. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, and I do believe you can option on heating, although we don't have it on this specific example. And I almost forgot to mention that our equipment group 1 does include the power adjusting pedals. But let's go ahead and talk about one thing that does not change between any version of this Ram 1500, and that's the fact that there is an enormous amount of space. So turning over here to our console, it has the 2-tier arrangement, so you have that little bit right there, and then you've got the broader and extremely deep area right here. As you know, this whole entire thing connects as one thing underneath of the sliding console here, so you can move this to any configuration you want, or you can just fill up the entire thing. And we also have a place to hold the phone and a ton of USB ports right there. You got some areas on the sides of the console. Of course, you have storage in the doors, and you even have storage up here at the top with a 12-volt outlet. Oh yes, and that's right, it is my duty to put the coupons in here, of course, even though it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that they're going to fit just fine. Now, of course, like other Ram trucks, we do have the shifter mounted up here. On the Bighorn, it is rubber lined, so it's easier to grip. Of course, you can twist for drive, twist the other way for reverse. When you do, you will find a really nice looking backup camera, nice resolution. We do have the active trajectory on board as well, the little line for lining up a trailer, and you can zoom in and out. And then right next to that are your 4-wheel drive controls. Also, on the subject of towing, The trailer steering system, where you can just turn this knob to help control the steering when you're lining up a trailer and trying to back up. That was a new feature added last year, and you can get that on the Bighorn, as you can see. Now on this model, you do have really a lot of options. One of those things is dual zone climate. So you have a standard manual climate, but we've got the dual zone that you can see today. Obviously, you just adjust the temperature with these large rubber lined knobs, and you have your zones and fan speeds right there in the middle, and when you do that, it will show up in the display. And right above the display are some volume knobs. So this is for our sound system. You're gonna have a standard 6-speaker sound system. You can get up to 10 speakers, but there is no branded option available with the Bighorn. But let's go ahead and give this one a sample. I have to say, pretty impressed by this sound system. It actually fills up the cabin quite nicely, and there's a lot more bass than I was expecting. Okay, so now we're here at the main infotainment system. So one of the important 2022 updates is the fact that we now have the available Uconnect 5 system. That's the all-new software. That is an option on the Bighorn, so you're gonna have a standard 5-inch display or the optional 8-inch display, which is what we have today. When you choose to have the 8-inch display, that's going to give you some additional options, including a built-in navigation system, which I'll let you take a look at right there. You also notice that we were just inside of the Android Auto ecosystem. That's because you have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay with the Uconnect 5 software. Moving on up here, we do have an auto dimming mirror, and you've got your HomeLink universal remotes located in the visor. You got your sunglass holder, halogen lighting right there. And then you notice at the top we do not have a moonroof. However, you can actually option on a moonroof, or you can even option on the panoramic sunroof if you want to spend a little bit more money.
Now, like I mentioned at the side, we do have the quad cab model, so you might be very curious as to how much space that's going to give you in the rear. And as you can see, it is not bad at all. As far as the legroom figures, we're looking at 36 inches of legroom, 39 inches of headroom, which of course, as you would expect, is quite a bit smaller than the crew cab if that's what you're kind of looking at cross-shopping between. Of course, that crew cab model is one of the biggest vehicles you can get ever in the rear seat, but this is perfectly fine. I'm 5'9" and Drew is 5'8", and as you can see, behind his seat position I would say, an inch or two of legroom, and my feet can slide up underneath the seat, so it's really not too bad overall. Now, as far as the features, you might also be curious about what the Bighorn is going to throw in. We do still have the really nice cup holders up top for you to stick anything you want. We also have these vents, so that's a really nice touch to see included on one of the more basic models. You are going to be missing out on your own climate controls, as well as heated seats, vented seats. Nothing like that is going to be back here. And you also are going to be missing out on the USB ports. I do also want to point out the center armrest is not going to fold down. You don't have anything back here, but you can comfortably fit 3 people. And there is also some door storage. Now, people who buy trucks like these need to work in them, so it is important for Ram to make it usable, and they have indeed. You just lift up on the seat, and then that gives you this entire area to put any stuff you need. As you can see, we put a lot of our camera gear up underneath of the seat, so it's a really nice spot to keep things hidden, as well as just to have extra space with people sitting in the second row. Passenger seat is going to be manually adjusting. And then if we pop open the glove box, we do have a pretty good sized one. This is not as big as you might think out of a big truck, but Ram does have a trick up their sleeve. If you look up here under the Bighorn branding, we pop that open, there's additional space, so certainly there's not going to be any issue fitting any type of coupon that we have in here between the 2 glove boxes as well as this center console. And then we also have this sun visor that does fold down. It's actually absolutely massive. We have lighting, we have a mirror, and we can also detach it as well as extend it. Nice.
Easy as that. We're up to 60 miles per hour in this Ram 1500. So as you can probably hear with your ears, we have quite a bit of muscle. We got some Hemi muscle since we've got the optional 5.7 liter V8. So with the Bighorn, you can choose between a few different engine choices. So you're going to start out with the 3.6 Pentastar V6. We've got the 5.7 liter Hemi V8 that's making 395 horsepower, 410 pound-feet of torque, so really good power numbers on that. And furthermore, you can also choose to have the diesel as well, which is something we sampled out a few months ago in the limited version.
Yeah.
Had the diesel, and that's also a pretty impressive powertrain setup.
This one sounds so good, though.
Yeah.
This one has a lot of power, sounds absolutely fantastic. I think this would be my engine of choice because the 3.6 liter has just a little over 300 horsepower. So it's going to be a lot of power boost for this Hemi, and it also just sounds so good. I'm a sucker for it.
I also wanted to talk about the transmission. Just like with all the other versions of the Ram truck, we do have the 8-speed automatic. This is a really nice transmission. They've done a great job with this. It's very nice and responsive. It's also smooth, easygoing. You know, really it seems ready for hard acceleration or just kind of cruising along.
Yeah. Standard 2-wheel drive, optional 4-wheel drive. And while we're going 55, I will go ahead and get a sound level reading. We're at 56.3 decibels. That's a really actually quite good reading. You wouldn't really expect to have that level of sound in a mid-tier, full-size pickup truck, but it does a really good job. And just from the seat of my pants, it is super quiet in here. I'm not really noticing that this is missing out on much sound deadening over the limited Ram that we sampled just a few months ago. So, and in terms of ride quality, let's go ahead and talk about that as well. Now, of course, we are missing out on the air suspension that you can't get on the very high-end trims of the Ram 1500, but I do think that this still has a really soft and comfortable ride. Pretty much it's that way with any pickup truck because they have to have some, off-road capability and stuff, so it does always have a really smooth and comfortable ride. You're going to have that in this Ram, and I'm also a fan of these cloth seats.
Yeah, one of the things I'm noticing is that even though we don't have anything in the bed, we're not towing anything, we don't have very much in terms of like vibrations. So a lot of trucks, when they're not loaded, they can tend to have this like kind of vibration when you hit bumps and stuff, but this seems really well controlled.
Yeah. And let's go ahead and discuss the fuel economy. So this Hemi, as tested, is going to be coming in at 17, 22, 19 miles a gallon combined. That is maybe a little bit less than some of the competition, but they do offer that diesel option. If you're looking for the best fuel economy, that's going to get 25 to 26 miles a gallon combined, depending on your drivetrain configuration.
Let's go ahead and talk about today's slam dunk and airball. So on the slam dunk side of things, I'm going to say the availability of the Hemi. A lot of times if you're choosing a low to mid trim level such as this, you are going to be confined to just the lower engine options. So I do appreciate that you can get the 5.7 Hemi in this for a little bit of money, but it's not a huge amount of money.
And that engine is just so nice. Now, as far as our airball, one of the things that we were really disappointed to see is just the halogen headlights up in the front. They're not even like halogen projector, they're halogen reflector lights. So not only is that kind of like a safety issue in terms of it's not going to illuminate very well, it just doesn't really look all that good. So I would really just love to see in 2022, let's just make LED headlights standard equipment. That would be fantastic. And as far as the pricing is concerned, we're looking at $37,390 as a starting point for the Bighorn. That is, of course, 4x2 and with no options. This model, as tested, does have quite a few of those options checked off. We also have the $17.95 destination charge, which brings us to $54,185 as tested.
But overall, after spending some time with this Bighorn, I can really see why this is such a popular trim level for the Ram lineup. It really occupies a sweet spot of value and pricing, And you can also get it in a lot of different ways. So you can get, you know, cheaper versions, or you can add kind of as much equipment as you want to it to be able to customize it any way you like it.
Well guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the 2022 Ram 1500 Bighorn. If you enjoyed our review of this vehicle or found it helpful, please hit that subscribe button down below. It truly helps us out more than you can even imagine. Gets us a lot more opportunities to show you all better content. So please go ahead and do that now. Also follow us on our other social medias like TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.